Hi, my name is Julia Porter. I'm in Mr. King's second period class, and I read David's Story by Stick Dagler. So David's story centers around David, an 8-year-old boy whose family gets taken by Nazis. He manages to escape and ends up in a Jewish ghetto. From then on, he has to learn to survive on the streets. So he gets taken to a concentration camp where his parents die, escapes, joins a gang, gets bombed on, survives, joins a clinic, becomes a medical assistant, contracts an unknown illness at the time, and is too weak to run, so he gets captured again and goes back to a concentration camp. The good guys are David, Eva, the rich romantic lead, the Jewish gang, which acts as a family, and the doctor and his assistant who take David under his wing. The bad guys are the Nazi Party and the brainwashed German civilians. And the conflict deals with themes of being on the run, belonging, and survival. These are specific main conflicts. The Nazis containing and deporting Jews, barely enough food to survive in the ghettos, and sickness. The first scene that stood out to me is the Jewish party. Nazis end up raiding the event and killing 6 out of the 9 people there, and they force the party to continue anyways. Imagine, the only way to get enough food for the week is by crossing forbidden territory and stealing tomatoes. This seems silly, but when everyone around is trying to kill you, it gets a lot scarier. The main thing I noticed when reading is that the historical fiction book had the main character much luckier than the actual real concentration camps turned out. Most of the other conditions were still as bad. This book was made by extending a found journal, so most of the plot is real, just added upon by the author. The conditions were the same, and how he survived is the historical fiction part. As obvious it is, this book has taught me, or it really strengthened my understanding of how Hitler brainwashed soldiers and civilians into hating Jews. Most of the terrible acts were done by Germans who had been convinced into thinking this one thing. As sad as it is, I'm glad I read and experienced this story.